Hi, Doug.
Hello, Martin. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Thank you for being interviewed by me, because I want to know a little bit more about the Henry Smith charity, of which you are a trustee. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a trustee and administrator. Yeah, there's five trustees in the Horley group.
Yeah. But I suppose the first question is, who on earth is Henry Smith?
Yes, who was Henry Smith? Henry Smith was described as a merchant. Not quite sure that he had ever sold anything, but he was obviously a very philanthropic guy, because when he died, he left all his money partly to members of his family, which were very few, and the rest to the poor.
Yeah. How long ago was this?
He died in 1626.
Oh wow!
So we're coming up to 400 years.
Yeah. So presumably he became so wealthy that you are still using his money now. Is that correct?
Actually, I'm not sure that he was particularly wealthy when he died. I mean, he was wealthier than most.
Yeah.
But he owned land in all over the south of England, up into Leicestershire as well. But some of the plots of land he owned were Hammersmith and Mayfair. So he's over the years, this money has become quite valuable, these plots of land and so forth. But I think they now give out in the region of £20 million a year, I think.
Wow.
That might be a slight exaggeration, or it might be an underestimate, I'm not sure. But we in Horley are recipients of monies that he insisted would go to every parish that he owned land in.
Right.
And Horley is one of them.
What primarily is the money used for? What's the criteria you look for?
Well, people must live in the parish of Horley.
Yeah.
Now that's the parish of Horley as it was in 1626, which confuses a lot because it takes in little bits of Lye. It doesn't take in Charwood. It doesn't include Tesco's in Horley, because that's in Charwood. A little bit of Tinsley Green, which is the other side in Sussex, which we tend not to hear about. And all of the Westvale estate, new to Horley, and the Acres and Langshot and so on. So it's a pretty massive area when it comes down to it. And then criteria, you're looking to help people out who really have fallen on a bad moment in life. Just recently there have been quite a lot of homeless people knocking on the door. Single parent families, families with low incomes. I guess we're really looking for people who are on benefits. We don't actually define it that way yet, but I think that's really where it's at.
People who are receiving help but actually need more.
Yeah. I mean, without wanting to be political about it, benefits are never going to cover life, are they? No, it's just not going to happen. Students, another one we try and help out. Young people who are going to college might need some tools. We had a young man who was doing a college course, and he was the son of a single mum with 3 kids. He needed a pair of boots to go out onto site, so we bought him a pair of boots. The tendency is nowadays, partly because of this COVID lockdown thing, we're tending to say to people, what is it you want? If we can afford to buy it for you, we will order it and get it delivered to you. That's a hedge against giving people the cash.
Yes.
And it also means that they haven't got to go shopping and put themselves at risk.
So I've heard, I think recently, was it a cooker?
Yeah.
Someone, yeah.
Yeah, somebody, I mean, believe it or not, get somebody who's rehoused and they're given a flat, but there's nothing in it. Maybe the cooker's not there. Certainly there won't be any carpets. So yes, a cooker, carpets, a laptop for a disabled young person whose only pleasure in life was her laptop. Clothes for a homeless person. Lad knocked on the door a little while ago, he got what he stood up in. So we gave him some vouchers to go to Tesco's and buy some clothes. It's difficult to say there's anything we wouldn't help with, but people with disabilities, trustees are quite keen to help.
So, I mean, have you found there's been an upsurge in demands since lockdown and COVID?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to actually lay it at the door of COVID.
Yeah.
It could just be that that coincided with us putting some leaflets out in the local food bank handouts. That spread the word a bit.
Because probably many people have never heard of Henry Smith or the Henry Smith charity.
No. Basically, until about 4 or 5 years ago, Henry Smith's charity in Horley was famous for giving the elderly people a gift at Christmas.
Right.
We've expanded that, and this Christmas it might even be difficult to give them that because we're running out of money again.
Yeah. So that's the key thing. You're now reaching a lot more people. That means the money is now spread a lot.
Reaching more people. Let's be honest. We used to get £6,000 a year, and then it got up to 7, and then last year they did a parishes review from the HQ in London, and somehow or another we persuaded them to give us another 7,000, so we got £14,000 a year. And we got that this year, and we ran out of money at the beginning of August. We've now got next year's money.
Right. Did you get next year's money early?
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit. But if we run out of money, well, we do, and we have to. Then we spend our time suggesting other forms of help. I mean, if for example somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, you helped me out last year. Can you help me again?" Well, one of the criteria is that we will only help somebody once.
Okay, that's interesting.
So we can spread the word, if you like. Now, if that happens, I will always say, look, what can we find? Who can we send you to? Have you been to the food bank?
I know one of your trustees heads the food bank.
She does
all
indeed.
Those links.
Those links are invaluable. Links, really. Because we can always find, if we find somebody who says, well, have you tried the food bank? Go down and mention Henry Smith, they might let you in. I'll always give them the email address to the local Lions Club. I'll always make sure that they know about Furnish Store in Red Hill.
Because fortunately there are charities,
there are some around,
charities, and it's important that you all work together and know,
if possible,
how to
I'd love to know of other groups locally that I missed out.
So if someone needed help, and obviously you've given out various bits of publicity and posters, but if someone needed help from you, they haven't had help from you before, how would they do that?
Well, there's a telephone number, I'll give you in a minute. There's an email address. We do have a website. We usually have an application form, but while this COVID thing's been going on, I've been making copious notes over the phone rather than relying on things being posted out. It's always a help if somebody's got an email address, which most people have when they're ringing in from a smartphone. It's a help if they can print stuff off for themselves, but if that's not possible, like the application form, for example.
So if they can't fill out the application form, they can't print it off, then you're taking details over the phone.
At the moment we're doing it over the phone. Rather than, I mean, in the past I'd have put the thing in the post, and then they'd have posted it back. But
so
life is
what's
different.
the telephone number?
It's the Horley number, 01293 782629.
782629. And the email address is
smithshorley@virginmedia.com.
Right, so that's brilliant. So hopefully we'll be able to fill your coffers up a bit more with some money that's been donated, and it all goes to people in our locality that needs
certainly
help.
Goes to people in your locality, because a lot of the word of mouth stuff that we've had recently has been on the estate where your church is.
So
there are a couple of roads closest on the lodge that the word's gone round. And nothing wrong with that.
No, that's what
one person in a block of 6 hears about it, and the other 5 apply. Then that's all right. Their circumstances are not different because they live next to each other.
No, and as long as you've got the money. And
when we haven't got any, more, then it's a question of waiting 6 months until we've got some more. But I've come across some really, really great people just lately. Single mums who their only concern is their child. Some good guys struggling, which is a shame.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Been my
for
pleasure.
Chatting to us. And,
My pleasure.
Yeah.